All right, good morning. Welcome back. It's Get It Done in 2021 here at the John H Chafee Fitness Center. We continue on our exploration of the upper body. And last week you were here with Kat and Dennis. It's Christina again. I'm back this week. And you went over the rest of the warm-ups, and they're finishing theirs up right now. And then we also went over bent over row, upright row, the side wood chopper, and then they showed you the bonus TRX power pull, which is one of my favorite exercises. So you hit pretty much all that posterior chain last week, a lot of pulling motions, and today we're going to hit the anterior chain and a bunch of pushing motions. So we're going to have chest press with shoulder stability. We're going to have chest press with a rotation, and then we're going to have a bunch of push-up varieties for you, as well as a little bonus plank and some balance work at the very end, and then that should wrap us up for our upper body exploration. Next week we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about mindset, and we're going to hit some of those extra muscles like your biceps, your triceps, and your shoulders. All right, here we go. Welcome. We Get It Done in 2021. Hope you've been doing your correctives that Dennis and Pat showed you last week, getting those shoulders pulled back and feeling pretty strong about it. So the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to explore chest press. I'm going to use a ball because a lot of people at home happen to have one of these. Pretty inexpensive. You can pretty much find them anywhere from Marshall's to Walmart, or go online and pick a sporting good company and buy different levels of balls. One thing you want to do is, if you choose this option, the great thing is it's going to work on that balance for us. And remember that vertebrae stability that we talked about. Not only am I going to have to do my chest press, but I'm going to have to make sure that I stay stable on the ball. So the first thing I'm going to do, I picked out my weights. I'm going to roll myself forward, and the basics of a chest press is I want to make sure that my back is supported on here. I'm at just about above my shoulders, and then I press these weights up. Okay. So today what we're going to be working on is that shoulder stability. So one is going to stay in the air while I work the other. It should be nice and slow. So 1,000, 2, 1,000. I don't want to drop below 45 here. Okay, once I do that, I put the joint in a very unstable position. This is the strongest position here. And then once I'm here, I'm going to press it right back up. The other dumbbell is working on my stability because I have to keep it in place. And I'm also resisting the urge to want to rotate off this ball. So it's going to be nice and easy. 1,000, 2, 1,000, 2. Now we're going to show you a bunch of varieties and different ways to do this. On your sheet it says 2 to 3 sets of about 10 reps. However, if you're still working, sometimes your wrist might still hurt and things like that. You could make that 5 reps. You could do 2 and 2, go back and forth, or you could do, maybe you can get to 5 here, drop that weight, finish the other 5, okay? But the key, the one key with today's lesson is we wanna work unilaterally at a time and make the other side have to do that stability. So no matter what method you choose today, you wanna make sure you're not just jumping right back to a double press, okay? So we're gonna check these out. So what do you have at home? You know, what weights you've been able to get. We're also going to show it with a kettlebell. So Kat's going to show you here. If you have a bench at home, this is another great starting place. Again, now she doesn't have to hold that bridge like I was. She doesn't get the extra bonus of adding the core in, but perfectly good movement here. Great quality. So she's going to start one side, nice and smooth. Watch those elbows dip. Perfect. And then she's going to go and balance it out on that other side. Now notice this here. The knuckles are facing towards her head. The fingertips are facing towards the feet. There is another neutral method here. If I was working with somebody who might have a little bit of shoulder issues, I might put them in a neutral stance here. Same thing, same rules apply, but now she's going to press. Okay? So what that does, instead of taking the aim away from the body, it brings it closer to the midline of the body. It puts it in a little bit more stable position for somebody who's had some injuries but is cleared to begin chest pressing. I might put them there. All right, so great, thanks, Kat. Perfect. All right, so I told you, we always have a way to get it done in 2021. There's always a way to modify, there's always a way to push through it. So now if you're at home, you don't have a ball, you don't have a bench, totally, you can be on the floor, that's absolutely fine. So Dennis is gonna show us with some kettlebells here. Dennis today is choosing what we call the racked position. So that kettlebell rests right on that elbow, nice grip here, and that's the position that he's gonna choose today. So once again, we're here, and the great thing about this one is being on the floor, you have limited range of motion here. He can't go past 45. So this is super safe for somebody who's, again, coming out of, we did that shoulder mobility thing and make sure that that person, once you get cleared to start beginning these exercises again, this is a great one because now his limit, he doesn't have to worry about dropping below. So that's great too. So this is kettlebell on the floor. Wonderful. Look at that control. Now keep that nice solid pace there. Again, remember to keep breathing. The perfect world, I'd be breathing in as I set up and out on the way up. In as I set up, out on the way up. Perfect. All right, I think we're making him work pretty hard there. All right, so we're gonna move over to Pat, and he's gonna show us some even more elevated representations of this move, and he's our super strong man. So we're making him be in a super unstable position. We've added in what we call a bell up here. So not only are we keeping the shoulder stability going on here, I'm not gonna make you go too long, but I'm gonna talk. Okay. But now we've added this nice extra component also of wrist and forearm stability and keeping that going. And the control, you can't tell, but that is a lot of control what he's doing there, so he has to be super purposeful on keeping that bell side up. Now, if it falls, it's not a big deal. If it flips over, you can continue on, and again, reps are they're always goals. They are not an ultimate. So if I can only get 5 here and I'm ready to try bell up, that's great, and then I can just go right back to where Dennis was, and I can go back to that rack position and finish the last 5 reps, okay? But you definitely want to test this out with minimal weight to start, keep adding in as comfortable, okay? You don't want to grab, if I can do 35s on a dumbbell chest press, I don't want to start with a 35-pound kettlebell, okay? Very, very, very different exercises. All right, Pat, that's awesome. Okay. So that is your chest press with shoulder stability. I guarantee if you're used to just pressing all the time, you add this in, it will really strengthen that whole joint area and give you so much more ability working those shoulders, okay? So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add a rotation. So this one I'm only gonna show you 2 varieties. So again, what we've been learning here throughout these weeks, what are we on? Week 7 now, week 8 now. We've been hanging out together, got it done in 2021 with the John H Chafee fitness crew. One of the things that we talked about a lot, especially when we were in those legs, was about planes of motion. If I always stay here, that's great, but life doesn't stay there, okay? It goes in all different ways. So we don't want to always stay in that plane of motion. So think about that power pull from last week where they had you rotating out and pulling up. Excellent change of planes. So today for the chest press, how we can change the plane, not so much the planes, but at least a different directionality, is to add a rotation. So again, I'm adding that extra challenge of being on the ball. Don't get tempted to do this. You want to keep it nice and strong, just like your glute bridge. I'm engaging my glutes. When I come up, I'm going to rotate. And there's a lot of different variations of this. Now for this one, I usually go a little bit lower weight so I can get a little bit more range of motion. Push up here. I'm engaging and squeezing my chest. Taking a couple seconds here, rotate and down. Up, rotate and down. Now you want to add super fun here. get a little bit more angles. Add a close grip chest press. Up, rotate, stack, together, back, down. Up, rotate, stack, together, and down. So that adds just a whole nother layer to that chest press. So I've still got that nice stability. I warmed up that shoulder complex perfectly for that chest press. Now I just added a whole bunch of different angles that had to get involved in the party. When I added that close grip in, I moved to the center of the chest and involved a little bit more of the triceps to come hang out and get involved. So a great, another excellent mobility move there. So Pat, is there a way to do this with a kettlebell?
Yes.
Let's see. I'm putting Pat on the spot. I like to do that. Okay. There you go, nice. I like it, I like it. So get creative. Again, one thing that we're trying to do is we're just trying to hit some different angles, something a little different. You know what Pat could also do? If you could take one kettlebell out of the equation, Pat. Put that kettlebell in between your hands, like this. Squeeze it nice and tight, okay? And oh boy, we just created a nice close grip thing here. Keep those chest muscles firing the entire time. We're hitting some different angles here, and Dennis has got another variation going there. So now we just created what we did with those dumbbells for that close grip, and a nice squeeze up and down, okay? So you can always add that next layer in there. Fantastic. All right, that's good for our chest press. We're gonna move on into our push-ups in a couple of seconds. Resuming our upper body push and pulls segment, and we're gonna move into push-ups, which is like one of the kings of utilizations. Again, it's body weight, it can be used anywhere, indoor, outdoor, small spaces, big spaces. Push-ups are great. You might not like them, but they are fantastic. Okay, kind of like lunges and squats, you know, just one of those staple movements that you should do. So the thing with a push-up is exactly what it says. We're gonna push ourselves away from usually the floor, although we do have people who may start at a wall. We have Kat who's gonna show us an elevated push-up, and then Dennis is gonna show us modified, and then Pat and I are gonna show you some more advanced push-ups. So the first thing about a push-up is, you know, we've been working on this in our warm-ups, right? We've been in this pillar bridge position, we've been in our bridge positions. So the one thing that we talked about a lot was having everything stacked up. So when I go into my push-up, same rules. My wrist, my elbow, my shoulder should stay pretty much in a line stacked up, okay? My feet are gonna be on my toes, okay? They can be close together. That is the narrower space is gonna be a little bit more challenging. And then if you're working on adding to your push-ups, you can widen that base a little bit, but you don't wanna go super wide, okay? So we wanna try to keep those feet in about hip area. So here I go. And my trick is always I put my hands right under my shoulders, because that automatically should set me up in a stacked position. Okay, so is everything neutral?
Looks good.
Check, check. Again, this head, I don't want it like all over the place. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to be like this. I want to keep that head nice and neutral, and in a nice, even, lower it down, bring it up. Lower it down, bring it up. Okay, you see some people like go all the way to the floor. Not needed. You can just right about here. You want to break about 45 degrees in those angles and bring it right up. So, okay, we're fitness people. We've been doing this for a while. I don't expect everybody to just lay on the floor and get their first push-up right out the door, okay? However, whether you are 6 years old or whether you are 96 years old, there is a push-up for you, okay? And it doesn't matter, because again, that plank that we've been talking about, this should be getting you ready. Every one of those warm-up things that we've been doing, those pillar bridges, all those things, those lateral bridges, are gonna set you up to be able to do your push-up. So Kat, again, we're gonna pretend she's at home. She happens to have a bench. This bench has a lot of ridges on it. So let's try to be proactive and not say, oh, I'm not gonna do my push-ups today because it hurts my hands. grab something. Grab a towel, grab a mat, grab a dish rag, a sweatshirt, put it on there, and then now you have this nice soft surface for your hands. So what we're gonna do again, everything's lined up, moving forward, but by coming up onto an elevation here and an incline, we've taken some of Kat's body weight out of the equation. So if we're not quite ready for that full body weight, I'm gonna show a couple of these here. You can do what's called an incline, okay? So I'm gonna set the Kat up, just gonna do a couple on the incline, okay? Great, perfect, okay. Okay, I don't have bench, I don't have this, I don't have that. I'm gonna show another option here with Dennis. So everybody, we do modified push-ups a lot in classes if you've been into group exercise classes and that. And a couple of things that you historically see go very poorly are when they set up for this modified push-up, again, we're taking a little bit of our body weight out. You see a lot of times people bring their feet up here, and what they start to do is kind of like this thing, okay? So sometimes the trick on trying to correct that and put it back into the shoulders and the triceps and the back where it belongs is you're gonna extend your feet out, okay? So now we're gonna get rid of that extra lever that's going on there. When Dennis lowers himself, one unit, see that? Head stays put, shoulders stay put. So there's none of this bouncing or bowing action going on. So that hip all the way to those knees is working as one unit. Perfect, great, excellent. So there's a couple of your basics to get started at home with for your push-ups. Again, I highly recommend video yourself, okay? So just like we did in those other movements that we've been working on over these 7 to 8 weeks together, is video yourself. So if you find that when you're doing your push-up, you're starting to do some stuff like this, or that tenting, or you start to kind of like sway out, that's your cue to know what your reps should be or what your modifications should be. So if I can get 3 really good ones and then I start to do one of those things that are not good, maybe that's my time to back down to here and get some more reps in that way, or go to an elevated stance there and be able to finish those 10 reps that we're looking for. Build it up correctly. So again, we want to be safe, effective, and efficient. That's been our motto right along this whole journey. Safe, effective, and efficient. So if I'm doing something inefficient, we just broke down that whole chain again, and we're right back to not being able to pass these tests very well. Okay. We want to try to score 3s. 2s are good, but we're trying to score 3s on those functional movements. So let's fast forward. You've been doing this for 6 months. You're doing great. You love push-ups now. How can we change these up a little bit? And things that we have at home. So, like we talked about planes of motion, different ways of doing things. Pat's going to show you some enhanced movements here. We talked a lot about shoulder stability here. So this is another great way to build that up. So notice what he's done. He's put himself on an uneven surface. Still pretty much stacked up though, right? And now he's going to put the focus into one side versus the other. Also some amazing balance work going on here. Remember Pat had to work on his rotary stability. Great way to start making that chain fire up and pulling it back and forth, okay? So again, you start with a couple, build those reps up. Don't take out the basic though. Okay, don't just go right to the hard stuff. I always still start with my practice round. I get a few basic push-ups in, and then add these in, sprinkle them in the month as they go on. It's a great. The other thing that we're gonna do now is, we talked about our pulls last week. What a great, fantastic way to finish an upper body workout, but add a little bit of a pull component too. I love what called finishes. So if you happen to have a BOSU at home, great. If you don't, that's no big deal. You just saw Pat uneven. So I'm going to show you a way to add stability to this. So this is going to make you want to go lopsided. I can go here. I can uneven this. I could go here, get that other side here. So another great way to add a little bit of balance. So let's add that upper body pull. So I'm gonna show it with a dumbbell. Pat's gonna show it with a kettlebell. And there's a whole bunch of different names to these. People call them renegade rows, different things like that. Basically, essentially, it's a push-up with a row. Now these, I find a little more challenging to keep my form. So you're gonna notice that I'm gonna widen my base a little bit more by making those feet go a little bit outside my hips. Where I talked about the push-up, where I wanna try to stay here. Now that I'm adding this other component, I'm gonna make a little bit more of a tripod. Now here, same rules apply. I set up, push up, set, row, 1. Push up, set, row, 2. You could stop there. You could get your 10 reps, move your dumbbell over. If you want to add that extra work for the core stability, I just rotate my dumbbell right over to that other side. Set here. And if I start to feel like I'm starting to move too much, that would be my cue to stop those reps, okay? Because again, I don't want to create a bad movement pattern. I want to only keep good movement patterns. So therefore, if I started to rock and roll there, I back down and only do maybe 4 reps to start. That's going to take us to another level. Woo. So now again, we added in that extra component here, stability. This is tough. This is really tough. If you're slipping out of this, do not proceed to do this exercise. Last thing you want to see is you slip off that kettlebell and fall. Okay, row. Go here. Push up and row. Okay. Super more advanced level there. Great one to try. And definitely something to look forward to. You always like to have something to kind of look forward to. Where fitness people, our sense of what we look forward to in this fun might be a little different. However, to me, you know, to have to do push-ups every day can get a little monotonous, so knowing that there's all these different options out there is fantastic. And the last thing that we're going to show you today, this week, is if you happen to have a BOSU at home, let's kind of wrap up this segment. You know, we've been working on that rotary stability and stuff, and I have been working on it at home. Getting slightly better. I've been listening to Dennis, I've been doing my exercises, but this is one that I looked up and I actually kind of liked it. Okay. I'm not even gonna try it unilaterally, but what a great way if you happen to have something at home or even like a squishy mat that makes you unstable. I'm trying bird dog here. So again, set. Now my keys here, I'm trying to figure out how to get my body to fire all those things that it needs to fire to stay put. And I don't want to let that toe drop down. So when I show these to people, a lot of times it's the first thing they do. So they want to try to anchor themselves here. Nope, everything has to stay off the ground. Every single thing. Let's see, it's the weak side. And then, am I shaking? And that's good. Because that means my body's learning to activate everything that it needs to. I always like to add something like this at the end of a workout, as we started with our pillow prep or movement prep. Sometimes it's good because that kind of segues me right into my stretch. It takes me to where my body's a little tired, and working sometimes on that balance when you're a little tired helps you really get in touch with your body and activate things, because you're kind of like, oh, I just want to finish and get done. This kind of centers you back as well to, again, feeling how your body's feeling, things like that. How did that workout go? So again, you know, you don't always have a BOSU at home, but you might even just create a matted surface that's still uneven, a lot more even than the floor. Okay, stack up a few different mats. They'll give you that extra challenge. So that wraps it up. Next week we'll be back. We're going to talk a little bit about mindset, and we're going to talk a little bit about those supporting muscles coming off the main chain, into some biceps and triceps, and a little bit of shoulders. See you next week.